Yo, what's up? Dr. Swole here. Today I'm going to be giving you a full guide on becoming attractive to women. This is going to be useful for you guys whether you're single or in a relationship, because guess what? The game doesn't end when you're in a relationship. I'm going to be breaking this down to the major categories that you're able to improve on. I'll be talking about what's important, why it's important, and how to improve it. The four main categories that we're going to be talking about today are: number one, looks and fitness; number two, money and career; number three, status and social network; and number four, personality and experience. Let's start off with the first category, looks and fitness. A lot of guys get into bodybuilding in order to look better for women. This does help, but not necessarily for the reasons that you might think. Yes, girls do appreciate a nice physique, but the biggest advantage from fitness is actually the confidence that it gives you. When you go through the process of conquering goals and transforming yourself, you gain a lot of confidence in yourself as a man. This is what really gives you the advantage with girls. Now, having a good physique will make a difference, and I actually think it's really important to have the looks and fitness category taken care of because it helps to put you in the right frame with women. We'll talk about the lover and provider dynamic later. Some people will argue that looks don't really matter. I couldn't disagree more. When you get into good enough shape, there will be girls who will want to hook up with you just because you have a nice body. A lot of guys never get to that level, so they don't experience what that's like. Now, in terms of what actually looks good for a guy's physique, for girls, proportions are actually more important than being huge. We interviewed hundreds of girls this summer that you'll see on my YouTube shorts, and most of them actually found really big bodybuilder types to be unattractive. This is different than the guy's perspective, where being bigger is better. The most important metric in terms of proportions is the shoulder to waist ratio. And there have been studies showing that a shoulder to waist ratio of 1.6 to 1 is most attractive. So you do want to work on that V taper, build those side delts and your back. It was really interesting seeing that confirmed in how a lot of girls said that shoulders and back were their most attractive muscle groups. Now, don't neglect your legs, because some girls also said that legs were very attractive. In terms of body fat percentage, girls don't necessarily need you to be shredded, but I would recommend getting into that 10 to 15% body fat range. A lot of girls in the interviews would say that they didn't necessarily need their guy to have a six pack, but when you really dig into it, they would still appreciate it if he did. I think the big thing to take away is that you want to get a lean, muscular physique, but you don't need to be the Hulk or Chris Bumstead. And most girls actually prefer the natural men's physique type look than a heavy steroided bodybuilder. I'll tell you a story. I remember being 20 and I was in my first 1.5 years or so of lifting seriously. I'd put on my beginner gains, but I had less muscle and more body fat than I do now. And I distinctly remember this time being at the beach with this girl that I was kind of into. I was talking about bodybuilding and I was telling her how I needed to put on a lot more muscle in order to achieve my dream physique. And she stopped me and she said, "Hold on, you're actually perfect the way you are right now." That really confused me at the time, but now I understand that men and women perceive the ideal male physique to be different. We have this societal double standard where guys feel that they need to be way bigger and more muscular in order to be attractive to women, and girls feel that they need to be way leaner in order to be attractive to men. So this should be reassuring to you. Just stay on that natty physique journey, put in the hard work, and you're going to see good results. Next up under the category of looks and fitness is your skin and grooming. Your skin is very nuanced and individual, so it's something that you'll have to do research on to find what's best for you. Choosing a good cleanser and moisturizer will be a good start. If you have acne, you can start off with some over-the-counter topical treatments. According to the research we have, dairy and sugar may contribute to worsening your acne. If you're really having trouble with it, go see your doctor. In terms of facial hair, make sure your look is clean and tidy. If you do grow facial hair, a well-kept stubble look is going to look good for a lot of guys. And if you don't grow a lot of facial hair like I do, just keep clean shaven. In terms of haircut, you'll want to find something that suits your facial structure. I would recommend finding a style that works well for you and then getting a relatively inexpensive barber to do it for you regularly. Having a fresh haircut that's cheaper will still look better than an expensive one that you can't afford and you only have every 6 months. Next category under looks and fitness is your fashion. Fashion has a huge impact on how you look. What I would recommend is to find a celebrity who looks good and has a similar body type and ethnicity to you. Then find cheaper alternatives that have the same style and fit. When it comes to being attracted to women, you want to find your look and then amplify it. Be bold and make your outfit stand out in some way. Accessories are a nice way to do this. It adds a lot of personality to your outfit. So for example, chains, rings, watches. You'll also find that when you wear something different or an interesting accessory, it gives girls an excuse for something to comment on. And noticing when girls comment on your accessories is actually a good way to pick up interest. In terms of choosing your clothing, your fit and style are most important. If you have a good physique, even some cheap clothes that fit really well are going to make you look amazing. You want to find clothing that highlights your strengths and downplays your weaknesses. If you have a good physique and you're relatively lean, I would recommend going for a slim fit. You want your clothes tight enough to show off your arms, shoulders, and chest, but you don't want to be bursting at the seams. You want to look for styles where the sleeves are short enough to actually show off your arm. When in doubt, when it comes to getting attraction from women, you want to err on the side of masculine and bad boy. The last part of looks and fitness is your posture and body language. How you hold your physical presence in the world says a lot about your own personality. You want to hold yourself in a way that conveys that you're relaxed and powerful. Standing up straight and not slouching makes you look a lot more confident. And in general, you want to think about taking up more space with your body language. Having a strong, wide stance and taking up space when you're sitting. You'll also find that improving your posture has a sort of fake it till you make it effect, where if you assume power poses, for example, you'll actually feel more relaxed and confident. Okay, next category in our guide to becoming attractive to women is money and career. This is one that a lot of guys get mixed up. Some people will say that money doesn't matter at all, and some people say that money is all that matters. This category is really important, but for different reasons than you might think. The most important aspect of this is ambition. Out of all the girls we interviewed, one of the most popular non-physical traits that girls found attractive in men was ambition. The reason this is attractive is because it's an indirect marker of success and resources. So it does equate to money in an indirect way, and it's actually more valuable than having money in the moment. When a guy has the qualities that will ensure that he'll be successful in the long run, this is actually a more surefire bet of him being rich in the future than him starting out with money now. You want to be the wolf that's hungry and climbing up the hill, never the one that's satisfied at the top. Now, when it comes to money, money does matter, but not necessarily for the reasons that you might think. The key thing about money when it comes to women is that it allows you to create the experiences and do fun things with your girl so that she has the opportunity to feel those positive emotions with you. It also provides access to beautiful women, for example, having access to parties or events, and it also lets you have good logistics for dating. For example, having a nice apartment downtown will be more convenient to going home to after a date, rather than living with a roommate an hour out of town or with your parents. Now, money also is intrinsically attractive to women because it signals security. Girls do want a guy who has the potential to take care of them financially. So you do want to have this quality in your back pocket, but you never want to lead with money. This is because it will categorize you as the provider in the lover-provider dynamic. The lover-provider dynamic is basically how girls view men. The same girl might go on a date with one guy and see him more as a provider type. For example, the boring accountant, and she might see him as stable and safe. On the other hand, on the lover side, she might see a guy who's sexy and dangerous. For example, the jacked guy with tattoos who rides a motorcycle. You ultimately want to be initially seen as the lover rather than the provider. This is because you'll get more raw, genuine desire from your girl this way. For example, there's a female friend of mine who I remember telling me about her ex-boyfriend. And she told me the story about how she dated him for 6 months before they actually slept together. Meanwhile, the same girl went on a first date with another guy and slept with him on the first date. So her ex was put more into the provider frame, while this other guy was put more into the lover frame. I think the ideal approach is the girl first sees you as that sexy bad boy, and then she finds out later that you have all these other stable traits that would make for a good relationship as well. Now, wrapping this all up, putting money and ambition together, I want you to aim as high as possible when it comes to your career. Whatever kind of goal you have, multiply it by 10. Having a high level position as a job will also bleed over into your confidence. For example, if you're a janitor working for a company versus actually being the CEO of that company, you're going to be way more confident as a man if you occupy that CEO position. This is because every interaction you have all day is going to be with people working for you or trying to please you in some way. People talk about confidence as being a mindset and something that you can just fake it till you make it. That only works to a certain extent. In our interviews, a lot of girls said that confidence was the most attractive trait in guys. And the reason is confidence comes from competence. Being confident will naturally come into place once you've conquered all the different islands in your life. The third category when it comes to being attractive to women is status and social network. The reason this is attractive to girls is because it signals access to resources and an overall easier, more fun life. In the late game, that is, when you start maxing out all the categories that we're talking about today, status actually ends up being the biggest player. This is magnified nowadays by social media. So for example, if you're Drake, you're gonna have so many girls who wanna be with you that you won't even have time for them. Now to break down status, to put it in a nutshell, girls want guys that other guys wanna be and other girls wanna be with. One of the first things you'll want to start doing is building a social circle and just being a social guy in general. What I'd recommend is try to make new connections at every opportunity. Get used to talking to strangers, and when you meet someone interesting, get their contact and then actually follow up with talking with them or meeting them. When you're building a social circle, one of the biggest things that you can do is be the host. So be the person who invites people together for gatherings or parties or events. If you are the connector who brings people together, you will intrinsically have a lot of value that girls are going to see in your social circle. And you'll find that having an active social circle and a good social life will make you more attractive to girls. But in today's day and age, there's another aspect of status and social circle that we really need to consider if we want to be attractive to women, and that is social media. Nowadays, social media is a massive part of dating. You ideally want to have a social media presence and you want to optimize your Instagram. Instagram is actually the #1 dating app right now. And it's also one of the first things that girls look at when they meet you. Having a good Instagram allows you to convey a lot about your personality without actually having to explicitly say those things. You want to get good photos on your Instagram, so not just gym selfies. Get photos that show off your experiences, your personality, and your hobbies. Having good photos will also be really useful for dating apps. So optimizing your photos does make a big difference in online dating. Try to get someone to take your photos for you with a DSLR. Okay, coming up on the 4th category on how to be attractive to women is your personality and experience. This will also encompass game or riz, as a lot of people will say. One of the first things I would recommend is to learn how to cold approach. Women want you to talk to them in real life, and this was something that was reflected in a lot of the interviews we had with girls. We live in this era now where people are hiding behind their phones, and it's almost strange when people hear that you met someone in person and not on an app. If you're not sure where to start, beginning with a compliment is usually the first good step, and then making some sort of observation about them. Now, this doesn't just apply to women. You want to get used to talking to strangers in general. Having good social skills will make you more attractive in party settings and when you're on dates with girls in general. Next part under this category is to learn how to flirt. A lot of guys don't figure this out and they're too serious when they're with girls. A good principle for this is to think about just being playful and having fun. That saying that girls just want to have fun actually runs a lot deeper and is more true than you'd think. You want to get out of that logical stuck-up frame, like saying what you do for work, and start making jokes and teasing them without being insulting. Outright insulting a girl is never attractive. Next, if you want to improve your dating life, you'll want to work on the skills of speaking, improv, and observation. These are really going to help you when talking to girls, whether it's your first time meeting them on a date or even in a long-term relationship. First of all, your nonverbal communication actually has a huge impact on how you communicate, even more than necessarily what you say. You'll want to work on having strong eye contact. This conveys a lot of confidence. Having projection, that is having a strong voice, and your tonality, so you want to speak in those lower, more confident tones. When it comes to improving your conversation skills, you want to think about the first unusual thing. This is a concept that comes from improv, where you basically notice the first unusual thing about a person and then start talking about it. For example, if someone's wearing a hat, you might say, "That hat reminds me of my cowboy friend from the South." Being able to talk about something that's unusual and also make observations will go a long ways in improving your game. In terms of observations, you want to think about trying to infer things about people. For example, guessing what they do for work or what they study or where they're from, rather than actually outright asking. The next part here is to prioritize new experiences. Your life shouldn't just comprise of work in the gym. Take every opportunity to travel, learn new skills, and pick up new hobbies. This could include something like an instrument or a sport, but the more depth of experience you have as a man will make you that much more interesting to girls. Lastly, when it comes to communicating about your personality experiences, get used to talking about your passions. A lot of guys are too shy to actually direct the conversation towards the things they want to talk about. Storytelling is a really powerful tool, and it's one that you should practice. When you have an interesting story from work or a social event or your hobby, practice telling it over and over to friends, colleagues, and your date. Anyways, hope this was a helpful guide and that it helps you take your dating life from 0 to 100. What are things that you guys think make men most attractive to women? Let us know in the comments below. If you want to make yourself more attractive to women in general and improve your life, check out this video, The Ultimate Guide to Self-Improvement, where I go through a full guide to self-improvement using the same categories that we talked about today. Make sure you subscribe to the channel to transform your physique and your life, and we'll see you next time.